Hello, Consciously Parenting family, and welcome to the Conscious Coffee Break. I'm Jen Kobrick. I'm a holistic family consultant with the Consciously Parenting Project. And today we're going to talk about acceptance. Specifically, we're going to talk about accepting feelings. So this came about because this thing happens when we feel something challenging or negative or difficult, that our first reaction is often, nope, don't want that. and I've had that experience plenty of times, and that's been coming up recently for me, which is why I'm talking about this today. So, the first reaction is like, I don't want to feel angry at my child, for example. It's something that happens all the time as parents. So our first reaction when we feel that anger is, nope, I don't feel any anger. I swear I'm totally fine. I'm happy. Can't you see how happy I am? And we can be stuck there for a really long time. And we can wonder then, why doesn't this feeling go away? I'm clearly telling it to go away. I'm not giving it any space. I'm not giving it any time. I don't want it. Why won't it go away? And it doesn't, and it sticks around, and it often festers and gets worse and comes out in ways that we don't intend and can't control. And that's really scary. And so then that makes us fight it more because we don't want to have that explosion of feeling or of action that is based on a feeling that we don't want in the first place. And so I recently had the experience of having a lot of feelings that I didn't want, and I was resisting them really strongly, and I was really clear that I didn't want them, and they weren't going anywhere. And so finally I came to one of the healing story circles that I attend and brought this there and talked about it and said, I'm clear that I don't want this, so why won't it go away? And realized in the course of having that space and finally giving it some space and bringing attention to it, allowing it to be there and naming that it was there, that I finally was able to gain some acceptance. Which is not the same as saying I want this or I'm going to act on it, but that acceptance that I'm feeling this right now. It's here, and it's clearly needing to be here since it's not going away. And once I had that acceptance, almost immediately on its heels, I had this huge realization of this big piece of my own unfinished work from my past that was showing up and really trying to be heard. And I was able in that healing story circle to make space for that wound and to really see it, and then to take that with me and give it more space and more grace. And it's been this really profound shift. And I've really integrated a big part of my own story that I had previously not been able to even look at. And so I want to talk about that piece of that acceptance, because when we're having feelings or a reaction, it's always coming for a reason. And it's really easy to say that, and it's something else entirely to really internalize that. And we talk about this a lot with our kids, that if our kids are having big feelings, that it's coming for a reason, and bringing this curiosity and this compassion towards what they're feeling. And we often have a really hard time doing that for ourselves. And as in my story, I didn't entirely do that for myself. I had support, and that's important to have the support and the community to create that space so that you don't have to try to, as an island, see all of your stuff while you're inside of it. But allowing that space once we have the acceptance piece, which is, again, is not acceptance does not mean the same as approval. Accepting that I feel this way does not mean that I'm okay with it, that I'm happy about it, that I want it. And it definitely doesn't mean I'm going to act out of that feeling. But it means that I'm simply saying, this is here. Why is this here? And that's the key about acceptance, is that once we have this is here, then we can have the curiosity and the compassion. Then we can have the piece where we say, why is this here? What is this coming to tell me? What needs to be seen? What's not working? What pieces of what's happening now, or pieces of what's happened in the past, or pieces of the relationship, or pieces of the circumstances, what is it that this is trying to tell me? Because all of our feelings are messages from our internal guidance. And just like all of our children's feelings are messages, all of our feelings are messages from our internal guidance. And we can't hear the message if we're busy, if the messenger's knocking on the door and we're busy barricading the door and putting a chair under the door handle to keep it shut, then we can't hear the message that the messenger is here to deliver. So only when we finally realize, okay, this messenger's not going anywhere, I guess I'd better open the door and hear what they have to say. Once we do that and hear the message, that's where we can take conscious action. Instead of having this festering thing that we're trying to shove and we're trying to push away and we're trying to not have there, that is occasionally exploding reactively, once we can hear the message, then we can choose what to do with that. Then we can make a conscious choice of, I see that this piece, needed to be heard. Or I can see now that this thing is not working for me. There needs to be a boundary. Or I can see that I've really been neglecting my own needs and that needs to be a priority, so I have more capacity for this. Or whatever it may be. But we can't know which message it is until we allow space for the message. So that's what I want to talk about today, is about this idea that our feelings are messages, but we can only hear the message once we accept that the feeling is there and we give it space to be heard. And so this is a big mindset shift to, instead of looking at our feelings as uncontrolled, uncontrollable, base things to be managed and controlled, and shift to looking at them as messages to be heard and listened to, creates a lot of space for curiosity, compassion, grace, understanding. And those are things that allow us to integrate pieces of ourselves and move forward with intention and consciousness and in alignment with our highest ideals and goals and values. And that's a really powerful, that's a way that our feelings, rather than making us feel powerless, that they happen to us and we have no control, we can view our feelings as a source of power, true internal power, because they allow us to move ever closer to that ideal of what we want from our lives and from ourselves and from our relationships. All right, so as always, if you have questions or comments, please feel free to put those in the comments and come back every Wednesday for another Conscious Coffee Break. And you can go to consciouslyparenting.com to find out all about all of the resources and support that we offer, and to find all of the past coffee breaks. And if you go to consciouslyparenting.com/support, you can find all of our free community resources as well. Have a great week, and I will see you on the next coffee break.